Tomorrow with Ted DiBiase Jr. on trial in connection to the largest embezzlement case in state history involving money meant for poor Mississippians. 3 on your side's Darius McCormick has the key takeaways from today's proceedings.
Prosecutors and Ted DiBiase Jr.'s defense attorneys are telling jurors 2 completely different stories. The government says he manipulated the system to benefit from welfare funds, while the defense says that he was manipulated by the former MDHS director, John Davis. Prosecutors accused DiBiase of stealing millions of dollars in TANF funds, money meant for struggling families. Juries heard testimony that DiBiase regularly appeared alongside former MDHS Director John Davis at meetings, was copied on emails, and operated under Director of Sustainable Change, a title prosecutors say helped disguise the flow of money. The government says John Davis was good at manipulating the system. Ted was good at manipulating John Davis. However, the defense says DiBiase was not the mastermind, but a passive participant. At the heart of the case, jurors must decide whether DiBiase knowingly manipulated the system or whether he was manipulated by it. Darius McCormick, 3 on your side.